My name is Lettie Bien. I'm a retired Army Colonel. I'm the Defense Affairs Program Manager for the Chamber of Commerce. And this V3 program is a Commonwealth of Virginia program that we have been very interested in and wanting to promote, and then the new administration took over and they're making it a priority for their Department of Defense and Veteran Affairs. And we met with, Trevor and I last week met with the Secretary, Crenshaw, and his deputy, Pack, as well as the Commissioner for Veteran Services, and they are very excited that we're going to be doing this. I will be bothering everybody for quite some time about that, because I think everyone should be V3 certified. I will tell you that the Chamber is V3 certified, the county is V3 certified, and the UVA Foundation has recently gotten V3 certified as well. So that's who sort of owns this whole complex. So these are veteran statistics just for the Commonwealth. But if you take it just what we're talking about right here in our area, the economic impact is over $700 million annually. I think that's a very conservative number, and we're going to be working with the Weldon Cooper Center to get an updated economic impact study. And the reason I say that is I'll give a quick example. Luna Innovations is a company in the city of Charlottesville. It is headquartered in Roanoke. In Roanoke, it has 6 people. In Charlottesville, it has 65 people and space of, call it 40,000 square feet labs. They do probably about $25 million annually with the Department of Defense. It doesn't show up as being in our region, or your region, sir. It shows up as being in Roanoke. So there's right off the bat 25 million. We talk about veterans. The only way the state and the county knows about how many veterans there are is based on what the Department Defense Finance and Accounting System is paying money to. So I'm retired, I get a check, which means they know me. But Trevor, who spent 8 years in the military, he's a veteran, he got out, they have no idea he's here. So for any veteran who's not on either disability or retirement, they're not counted. So the number we think is much larger. This, of course, is Virginia statewide, but it is pretty significant as far as how many veterans are here. And veterans make great employees.
Lettie, will you be able to share the PowerPoint with the group when you're done?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Lettie, may I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but on the previous slide, the very first sort of bullet in the upper left corner, the 130,000 active duty, the active duty population, 130,000. I was in Hampton Roads 20 years ago, lived there, and I thought Hampton Roads had a larger number than that. Just Hampton Roads. Has Hampton Roads diminished that much, or is that not? I thought the naval base had more than.
Well, they have Oceana,
Yeah.
Hampton Roads, and there's Northern Virginia.
So I'm surprised to see it only at 130.
Well,
that's significant.
Number that is significant, and and I will find out. And I thank you for bringing that up. This is the number the state has given me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly where they got that, but if it says the second largest.
Now the other numbers, the percentage, that's not surprising at all. They had the second largest percentage of women, the largest percentage, but that first one. Okay.
I will check, and I will get back to Chris on that.
It might be a residency issue too, station versus where
It could be their own ships and they don't count as the residents, as Chris has pointed out.
There are a lot of
That's a
people
good-
here
that's a
that
good-
like still have residency in
that's a
Texas.
good point.
It's a tax issue.
So the V3 program is a state program. And what it is, it's a free training program that certifies your company as somebody who's, in essence, veteran and spousal friendly. And it's, of course, authorized under state law. The interesting thing about it is if you are even a 2-person company, you can be V3 certified. You get an annual report that's 1 page. I just filled it out for the chamber. And it literally will ask you, did you have any openings this year? Yes or no? If yes, then how many? How many? Did you hire a veteran? Yes or no? Why? Or did you interview a veteran? Yes or no? Well, we've had no employees, so for me it was no, 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 and sent in. That's it. But as a V3 certified company, when you have an opening, what this asks you to do is, first of all, on your website you'll get that little insignia up there that you can put on your website. They'll give you that license for that. And what happens is, when you have an opening, it just asks that you interview veterans that are qualified. Doesn't mean you hire someone that's not qualified, but that you interview a veteran that may meet the qualifications. Even if they meet the qualifications, you may not hire them, and they may ask why. And that's to help the veterans as we do different training programs around the Commonwealth. So that's all what the program is. Pretty simple, pretty basic. And it's very interesting and easy. I guess it's going to show you here how to become V3 certified. You enroll. It's 5 minutes to get on the system and enroll. You must attend a training segment. It's about 2 hours, and I will tell you, I did 30 years in the military as a soldier. I got out, I'm still with the military doing stuff, and it was interesting as heck to me as well. They talk about veterans, they talk about why it's a good reason to hire them, why they're different from your regular employees, and the benefits of having them. So and the next class, the virtual, is on March 9th. So if you're thinking about this, if you would get one of your people, maybe HR or a couple folks, because it is really an interesting program, to sit there and see that process. And then it gets certified with the governor's office, and you're assigned a regional manager, a program manager that helps you with any part of it. It was really, Missy, you just did it. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's quick and easy. I'm not even sure it was 2 hours, but it was fine. And then they send you the presentation immediately following, and so you actually have it to kind of keep and utilize. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It sounds really complicated, but it really isn't.
Thank you. So what happens after V3 certification? And that's sort of what we just talked about, as far as if you're going to have any openings that you want to ensure that you try to at least interview veterans, and having that little insignia on, like if you have, it says, like your company may say careers or jobs, and you press on that, and then that should show up on that page. It says veterans, press here, then you have your veteran page. So, but these are all of the benefits that a company or organization, it's for-profit or not-for-profit, and state and government, are the benefits of having V3 certification. And this is not all, because your regional manager will identify other areas where they can really help your company. Lots of them, so I don't even want to really go through them. But you can apply for a V3 grant that's to small businesses for up to $10,000. There's free training if there's a particular certification. You may have someone who's qualified, but they're missing a certification of some sort. You can go back to this organization and they could even pay for that certification. So there are a lot of benefits to this. The governor is very keen about getting our veterans hired and keeping our veterans who come off active duty or retire in the Commonwealth, because he recognizes they are such a wealth of knowledge and fortitude. Yes, sir.
Lettie, so this is kind of getting at what it's the execution side of being V3. Is there, maybe it says, collaborating with the V3 transition team to identify potential applicants. Is there a way that through this program, hiring entities like the county, looking for teachers, public works, whatever it might be, is there a way to connect into that network of transitioning military to help make those connections? Because right now, I don't think we've achieved how to do that just yet.
Yes, they do. They will do that. And in fact, aside from the fact that there's a bunch of programs, they link in with the people transitioning out of the military at the major bases, and pull them in for the purpose of this V3. There's also another program that's now for spouses and things of that nature. But yes, and I can certainly, your regional manager is someone who can link you up for that. There's also, you know, a bunch of other programs that are not the state programs, like there's one, Vets to Teachers or something like that. There's one of those. There's a couple others of those nonprofit organizations, and I have the information on those organizations, Trevor.
Thank you.
So any questions on this? I know it's busy, and I will send you the slides.
Each of us, I'm sure, jumps to a different bullet depending on what the interest is. So has the inequity among the services for the military medics and corpsmen been fixed? So that Navy is the only one who's been left out, as far as I know, that they come off duty and they cannot go directly to work for one of our public service agencies without getting all retrained.
I don't know.
And that's been like 5 years that the state's been talking
Well, I
about.
moved from Florida, and in Florida, that was, if you were,
Seamless.
it was seamless. If you were medic or corpsman,
Yeah.
you already got credits for things, and the
Yeah.
licensing was very simple. So I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that, Ann, but I will definitely find out for
See
you.
if we can dig on that. Thank you.
Will do.
Glad to see the third bullet there, the hiring military spouses. That was a question I had in my mind as we were going through this, so.
And we here in my office, we also have access for helping spouses out that's separate from this. So we have been talking to Ravenna Station and JAG School and all of that about any spousal issues to let us know. The issues come in on child care a lot. They have a child development center out at the Ravenna Station. It's got a waiting list this long, and it was just shut down for a month because of some air conditioning or some kind of issue, and that just sent everybody into a tailspin. But across the board, it tends to be, you know, a child care issue for the spouse. At the JAG School, which is an amazing place, if you haven't been there, sir, you should really go get a briefing over there. The JAG Legal Center and School has about 150 full-time active duty folks, teachers and professors and all of that. Most of the spouses who come in, they have a class that's like 9 months or longer, and so it's considered a permanent change of station for the student, and so they'll bring their family. And most of those spouses don't want to work because it's a year where they can sort of kick back, take care of the family, maybe get an education, work a part-time job. And the school itself has been there long enough that all the people who are there from the spousal standpoint, they seem to be doing okay. It's when we get to Ravenna Station or recruiters or the ROTC departments at the schools, because we've got all the ROTCs, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps. So sometimes they've got cadres of maybe 10 to 15 folks, and they have spouses that, you know, sometimes want to find some good work. And working with the university also has a program for it that we can lock into as well, that finds them long-term temporary positions on grounds. Yes, sir.
I know before the pandemic, there was an initiative by the state, and it's not something that we talked about last week when we were down there, about military spouses and Virginia having, I guess, less reciprocal agreements where there's certifications to be a school teacher, for instance. And so that, I know that has been a barrier of entry, if you will, for kind of the trailing spouse. Do you have any updates on
Well,
that?
that's
or?
sort of what Ann was asking about.
It's the
And
same theme.
I do know that just recently, and I'll find out, like medics and school teachers and some of that, I know that just recently they approved anyone, and it's going to be a tiny little group, anyone whose spouse is an attorney does not have to sit for the bar here and can be licensed for the time that they're here.
It's in that lane.
There are some stipulations that, I mean, we mirrored that off. I work for Senator Reeves in Richmond as well. So I was mirrored off of the law in Florida, and we consulted with the Supreme Court of Virginia with Don Lemon as the Chief Justice. But it's a significant change.
Yeah, that's a significant change. Thank you for working on that.
Sure.
If I could just interrupt too on that, if that is this certification issue that has come up a couple of times, if that's something that we can wrap our public policy committee around, it's possible that we could become an advocate for. If it's a workforce issue, there's absolutely no, I don't have any hesitation in us trying to advocate for that. So.
I I will get an update on all of the different certifications that people need for work and find out through the state. If I can work with you, Chris, on that, and to see where that stands for teacher, nurse, medics, all of that kind of stuff. That'd be great. Yes, ma'am.
Going down that same vein, at one point in time, Virginia had the Spouses of Teachers program that was coming out of ODU. Is that still an active?
What was the name of it?
Spouses of Teachers. It was something that Laura Bush put in place when George W. Bush was president, and it was out of ODU, and they were strictly focusing on spouses who need to get the certification to teach.
Okay.
It was spin off the troops to teachers or troops coming in to teach. Is that still in place to help with some of the nuances with certification?
Chris, do you know anything about the teaching?
Yeah, that's still in place. There have been additions, but that was one of the first things that was done.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to do based on what, I will find out about all the different certifications. I will find out exactly where it stands in the state, in the Commonwealth, and I will get that on my website.
Sure.
And I will, of course, let you all know. Yes, ma'am.
While you're making a mental list of the things to do next, the reason I came to was to learn about how this group at agency is connected in with the Workforce Center at the Virginia Career Works, because that's the instant connection to Virginia Employment Commission. And so if there's work that needs to be helped at the state board level, I need information to take to the state board.
Okay, because I know that I do know that they do work together. The Virginia Employment Center does work with the veteran office. This is an exciting slide.
Maybe it was all the bullets, I don't know, you know.
I know, it's a lot of bullets.
Something for everybody.
So why hire a veteran? You know, this is the sort of the metric stuff, but let's face it. I've never known a veteran who didn't show up on time. I never knew a veteran that didn't share a workload with somebody or take over something. Never, you know, there's intangible qualities to an honorably discharged veteran that any business would be happy to have. I mean, Elizabeth has me. I was on time. So I just think that there's a whole list of things that they have here, a bunch of potential tax incentives and subsidies, as well as, you know, recruiting costs, turnover, all of those metrics that make for having a veteran. And even on positions that are entry level, like I've been working with the University of Virginia on undergraduate student veterans. And these are mostly enlisted men and women who've done 5, 6, 7 years. Most have been in combat in the desert, and they're now using their post 9/11 GI Bill to finish off their bachelor's degree. Well, they're 25 to 35 years old. They're a different cadre than your 18, 19, 20-year-old students that are at UVA. So they're more mature. They're more goal-oriented. They have, you know, they're there to get an education and then to work and then do things after that, for the most part, the younger folks haven't really thought through. So I'm clearly an advocate for hiring veterans because I've worked with them, I've had interns that are veterans, and they just do fantastic work. But I grant you, I am prejudiced. And then how does the Chamber's help? Because the governor and the secretary are really going to be focusing on this. We've been working on it before this administration came in, so which of course makes them very happy. But they're going to be starting a chamber-specific type of program where they're hoping the chambers can get about 70% of their members to become V3 certified. I invited not only chamber members to this, but we also invited non-chamber members. In this North Fork, we have quite a few defense contractors who are national organizations, but they have offices here because they're supporting something in Ravenna Station or to have a contract, and so they have to support their people who are in the building over there from a not only security standpoint, but also operational and logistics standpoint. So, and I will be talking to all of them in this building about becoming V3 certified. Some of them, the big ones already are, especially if they're coming out of Northern Virginia. And so it's really the smaller tier companies. Nonprofit organizations for sure should be V3. Governments, We need to get Greene County up online. I don't think Charlottesville is, but they will be. County is. Love to get the school system on separately. So this is what we're looking to do. I think that might be it. Recruit, hire, train, retain. That is the program coordinator. She's the sort of top program coordinator. Then there's regional coordinators, and we have one that's specific to our region right now. It's been a gal named Jasmine Gore, but I think she's been moved to a different location at the state level. In Richmond, they've got a bunch of things going on right now. But Tracy is the program coordinator. I'm available to help anybody who you may have that's going to apply for the B3.
Lettie, what's considered our region?
I think it's pretty small. I think it's Charlottesville, Albemarle, maybe Greene and Fluvanna, and that may be about it. Oh, they got like 8 or 9 regional managers. Okay. So it's not like, you know, they've got so much on their plate. Now, that being said, that was a different administration. I don't know how the organization is panning out now in Richmond, but I know they are working with that. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a specific website or site that veterans go to when they're looking for a job? I mean,
lots of them will go to USA Jobs.
Okay.
And that is a big website that has federal jobs.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of folks coming off active duty just feel comfortable staying within the federal thing. But they do, at transition events, they're given a whole list of places that they can seek out positions if they want. There's helping with, you know, resume writing and interview skills and things all of that nature. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if we're tapping to the CTAP at Fort Lee, and Fort Eustis, Langley?
I don't know. I need to get there and see what they're doing with the transition piece, because I'm just, after 2 years of COVID, there's like nobody home. And so I need to get back up to speed, find out what they're doing at Fort Lee, what they're doing at Hampton Roads, what they're doing at, you know, all of the different bases that we have, and we have quite a few of them. I'm sure Chris will know.
Well, they did have an in-person transition event last year at Quantico. It was a Q&A where they had some employers in there. Senator Reeves went up there and spoke to them as a legislator. But as far as other installations, I'm not sure.
I mean, I would love, and we could do this out here. I'm sure Misty would say yes. We had a sort of a career job fair here about 4 months ago, and we had a bunch of the defense contractors all in that whole area out there, and it was great. But it wasn't as fully attended because we were still sort of at the height of COVID, and I think that we should definitely be doing that again.
Yeah, we did that with UVA.
I think it was really advertised as UVA.
Yeah.
I will say my possibly future son-in-law got hired through that.
Did he really?
He
Oh
did.
my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he works for Booz Allen on a contract at DIA.
It really was a great event.
It
I
was.
wish it had been.
He came up to me and he told me it was Trevor's soon-to-be son-in-law, and I said, okay, come on, we got to find you
Nothing
a job.
official's happened yet, just saying, but you know, he's got a job at least.
I can't remember, Lettie, if it was the B3 program or some other kind of training that you've talked to me about, but it was something very interesting and useful, I think, about being able to help people, veterans, to rewrite their resumes in a way that people like me can understand. I've been hiring people for 30 years, and I know what an assistant vice president does, and I know what a marketing director does, but when I see a veteran's resume, I have no real understanding of that, and I think it's a major disconnect for lots. So I can't remember if it was through this program or otherwise, but I would just encourage.
There are a number of programs, and
speak the same language.
The state has one, and they have an office right here in Albemarle County over on Pantops, where they will help a veteran rewrite into civilian English. We also have a volunteer who's a chamber member, who's a photographer, who will take a veteran or transitioning service member's official photo in civilian clothes for free. And I think probably over the summer, we're gonna set up a time, maybe right like in this room, where veterans who are transitioning out or are out already, who need a picture, because we all have pictures in our uniforms.
Lady,
But-
is that Franklin?
Yes, it
Let's
is.
give him a little plug. Franklin Knox Photographer.
Franklin Knox Photography. And he said he's part, apparently there's an organization that does that, and he's here and he has offered his services to do that. He takes photographs for the chamber, and he has his own photography studio.
We have to slip out soon, but I want to say thank you for letting us be part of this, and thanks for what you're doing. In addition to being the right thing to do by our veterans, and a third of our congressional district office staff are veterans, but in addition to being right for the veterans, it's necessary for our prospective military and our current military to see our veterans succeeding in the transition and post-military careers. That's critically important for the future defense of our country, as I know you are well aware. Do you know if a congressional office itself can get this certification?
I don't see why not. And I will check with that.
Well, we'll
and
try
let
to find out.
I'll let Chris know today. I do not see why not. And the point you just brought up, it's not only important for our current military to see veterans in the community working, it's important for the kids we're trying to recruit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, the perspective as well as the current.
Perspective,
Yes,
that's right. Because the services now with the competition in the external universe are really having some issues meeting numbers. And under the volunteer force, I mean, we're talking, big signing bonuses and everything, but it is a problem, not just recruiting people in uniform, but even recruiting civilians to work for the services. So for those of you who may not know, Ravenna Station is a station owned, the garrison, by Fort Belvoir, but operationally it's different organizations. And if I just look at National Ground Intelligence Center, which we call NGIC, it's about 1,100 people. There's only 100 in uniform. Only 100 in uniform. The rest are all civilians that work for the Army. And they're all scientists and forensic accountants and logisticians and things of that nature. Now, of that group, about 40% are in the Reserve and Guard. And when they do their duty, they put on their Guard or their Reserve uniform. Most are also intelligence officers in their Guard and Reserve, and they go work in a different directorate in the National Ground Intelligence Center. But they're mostly civilians, and there's heavy recruiting now. The Army has an amazing program for interns and fellowships starting in high school. They go to fellowships that when they finish the fellowships in college, they then become Department of the Army civilians, starting at like GS 10 or 12 or something like that if they've been through the whole program. So what you bring up is really an important point with regard to people need to see veterans out in the community. So I know you're a veteran, and Trevor's a veteran. Is anybody else? Anyone else? And Chris is a veteran.
Thank you all.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it
so
so
much,
much.
sir,
Thanks
for
letting us
coming.
come
It's
in.
a pleasure to
Appreciate
meet
it.
you.
Appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Lettie.
I'll talk to you soon, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you,
So does
Mia
anybody
was
have-
raised by a veteran.
That counts. That counts.
As was Daphne, yeah.
So did you guys move all over the place? So you're which service?
Army.
So you're an Army brat, as they used to say. And you?
Navy.
Navy. Okay. So we'd love to get your, I don't know if at a state level, if your folks are B3, maybe we can start to work on that. Love to get the schools to be B3. Would like to have the county on its career page. Make sure you have that logo for the folks to press on it, and also take advantage to find out with the program manager what benefits you might have that you're not taking advantage of. I think that's important. And so Chamber already is, and if you would speak to your compadres and friends of other organizations, if you belong to a nonprofit, if you sit on a board of a nonprofit, certainly CNE, SPCA, all of those could become V3 certified. It's just getting the word out, understanding that it's not a hard process, and yet it shows a real support to our veterans here in the community and to those who just moved back.
Lettie, I'll share this once I get the PowerPoint with the city manager's office, Charlottesville.
Oh, good.
I think they're staffing up and working on some stability there to start being able to look at programs like this.
I will send this out as soon as I get back to my office to
And
everyone.
we can, people at the lower level where I am can also in our neighborhood newsletters and whatever, put sort of the highlights and the context, so.
Absolutely.
Send it out to the 3,000 people over yonder.
That would be great. That would be great. I think the real takeaway that people don't understand is they say, oh, I'm just a small business. I have 4 employees. I don't need to, I can't be, that would be a mistake. That would be a mistake because you can be a small little business with 4 employees and still be B3 certified. And your name then goes on the state's registry. It goes into my website with a link to your organization. And so, and the fact that if you don't hire anybody, then no harm, no foul. But if you're going to hire somebody and you put something out, the hope is that you would also interview some veterans that hopefully meet the qualifications. And there's a lot of them out there. And those who are employed for the most part tend to sometimes be underemployed because they're really skilled, but maybe their resume didn't show the truth of what they could do. Think in terms of the Navy. You've got 20-something-year-old kids running nuclear submarines. I mean, that's like, what? And the same thing, you've got, Army kids who are in charge of 30 people and everything they do, their logistics, their personnel issues, their everything. And so you've got they have some real skills, tangible and intangible, that you may not see when you hear, well, he was a platoon sergeant or he was a comms guy. But having been there, we know how much they really have done. So, that's pretty much the entire briefing. Yes, ma'am.
Are you already linked in? It's a different program altogether, but with the sort of service agencies, I'm thinking the roll call group and the sort of smaller nonprofits, Living Free, all those people, because the conversation, I think, has to happen every day, everywhere. Whether it's over at the Earlsville Exchange where Tanya's putting off her Living Free hat and putting on her B3 hat to try to
and she,
get
they all got noticed on this.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm going to be a real pain with this kind of stuff.
That's where all of us sharing the PowerPoint in as much as we can with all of our different things will help. Oh yeah, I saw about that, but I didn't go to the meeting, so here it is.
I would like to share this with like our HR people, so if you can send that around, that would be great.
Well, yeah, they need to be able to take advantage.
Yeah, and I think that's why I asked you about the sites, because I think that they just put it out there to the general public, but, we're kind of a small organization, and so we feel like that, we're not really, maybe they're just not seeing it. So I think that's why, Cindy and then we're asking, like, maybe we should be putting the hiring information out to like specific areas where the veterans actually see this information.
And I have a contact over at Ravenna Station. She does public affairs, but she has access to, like, I don't want to say a newsletter, but she puts out like a bulletin board that goes to all of the units there.
That would be great.
Yeah, she does that. So.
Do you have any impact metrics, feedback from registered companies and organizations?
I went online and I went by the state lists all the companies that are V3 on their site, and I went on by zip code to pull the list that was not national companies like Booz Allen and Mitre, but to pull the list of the companies that are here in our zip code area, and I put them on my website with their link. But then I went into their website myself, and I would say 80% of them, and it wasn't that many, about 80% of them have nothing on their website about being V3. Nothing. So that's sort of, it's one thing to be V3, it's another thing to be V3 and then do nothing with it, just to say, oh yeah, we're V3. Yeah. And so I'm going to be contacting all of them. They should have, when it says careers or want to work for us or jobs, and you go into that, and they should have that little logo, this logo that you get, it says, you know, veterans, click here, and, or something, but they don't have it. And so that is at the core, the ones who already are, we need to get them a little bit updated and have them put it out there that they are B3 certified. So.
Seems like that ought to be the threshold to be able to participate in the program. I mean, they're in it for the benefits, but come on, let's do the responsibility part too.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the universe.
I am so far out of touch.
Yes, but I'm going to contact them, and you know, and what happens is they end up having turnover themselves, and the next people have no clue what that is until they get the sheet at the end of the year that says, you know, here's your V3 sheet, and they go, what the heck is this? So, and I don't know what it takes for the state to then say, well, you're not meeting your requirements, you're out. I don't know that answer. But you all have given me a lot of more work to do. Thank you very much.